Now let's head straight to the market and take a look at what the market is doing at the moment. Of course, if you look at the market into 1 hour or about 2 hours into today's activities, already doing about 0.12%. So let's bring in Mr. Ambrose Omodion, Chief Research Officer, Investor Consulting Limited. He joins me in the studio here. Thank you for your time on the program. Now, just before we look at the market, yes, at the close of week, we've seen, of course, talking about the first quarter earnings in the market, Unilever, African Prudential, Boa Cement. You have the like of Stanbic IBTC and ETI already in the market. What does it, what's going to be, or what is likely to change? Let me put it that way.
For me, the positive sentiment we have seen the last 2 weeks will continue. Actually, as you just said this morning, we have seen already that market is having that positive ride already. But it tells you that investors in Nigeria are becoming more intelligent in investing. Right. Despite what is happening globally, because they understand that as far that inflation is on the rise and the ease in the fixed income market is already shaking because of the negative position it is. Some of them are now called portfolio repositioning, moving funds from their fixed income, especially the the long-term curve to equity, knowing that there are some companies on the exchange that can easily pass the high cost they're having now to customer or their consumer, at the same time post a better number that was to support their earning going to the future. But looking at the Q1 that just hit the market, you just mentioned, I see that most of these company results were positive and good for the market. These are what really support the market to reveal that our market is undervalued. Because if you look at the earnings yield in the market and dividend yield compared to the yield in the fixed income, we are seeing a better one in equity. That's why people are looking at equity. And also, this is the early stage of inflation. It is when inflation has gone to a level that yes, equity cannot even be a place to hedge it. But for now, the place to hedge inflation against inflation is equity. That is why we are seeing for. And also, we can use the property. That is why stock like UPDC on the exchange is a good stock to look at. Another kind of stock.
Are you saying that the numbers that were released concerning inflation the last time didn't make any change or didn't affect much in the market? Because of course we saw a jump from 15.7% to 15.92%. That of course was supposed to impact the market or the decision of investors, in the fixed income market. I
said earlier that is what is already threatening fixed income investors because we are seeing an uptick in inflation, I just said, from 15.70 to 15.92. That also put their position in a kind of a deep red. So we're going to make adjustment because if by the end of this April, already the month, we're already on the last week, in April now, we'll not see inflation cross almost 16 again to around 16.2 or 16.10. And also the position that is why you see on the long curve, most of them are moving their position to equity to edge against inflation at this time, because if you are waiting for that long curve and inflation continues to rise, at the end of the day, your money will lose value. For that, you are moving away to equity. And not only that, I said it earlier that the 2021 earnings were beyond market expectation, better than expected. Even the Q1 that has started rolling again, also supporting that trend we saw in 2021. It tells you that the market is going somewhere. You can see the life of ETI result that came this morning, very fantastic. That of Stanbic in the banking sector, also giving investor that banking stock now, especially GTB, Access and UBA, and the rest, that if we are seeing just impressive number from these two, Stanbic and ETI already this morning, it tells you that where the market is going. Also look at what happened in in Boa and that of Lafarge. You see also impressive number, but you can see the numbers are all reviewing where it's on the value position for you to get upper, the higher or upper potential where you can also position for dividend. And so don't forget that the life of Lafarge, because of their the new inter-dividend move they just showed the previous year. Yes, it's possible that they're likely to repeat this year. Looking at their Q1 1.9 kobo earning per share, that should also give information that this is placed also. If at the end of the day they're also going to pay that 150 kobo or 1 something for their inter-dividend, it's a good one for Lafarge. Considering the price is selling and others in the industry, I think that stock will be attractive. But for what I just said, for ETI, for me it's a good stock. Looking at the earnings first quarter compared to that of Stanbic IBTC, you should know exactly what the price and what. For me, investors should just use this earnings. That's why I said the market is reviewing on that value. I was seeing high, earnings yield. For me, it's a good thing for the market.
I want to take you to last week, of course, the performance of equities market last week. 4 trading days out of 5 days, because of course the holiday ahead, because of the Easter celebration. The market did about 511.76 billion naira. In monetary value, and so jacking the index to about 26.13%. So how do you capture this? Because before now, we've not seen earnings of some of these companies you mentioned earlier, like African Prudential, Stanbic IBTC, and ATI.
Yeah, no, it's correct. You just said so. But the life of no, the news in the market about the mandatory takeover in Tana, sudden uptrend in what in Wando, and also you can see also other blue chip stocks also looking up, and that is why I see because prices of stocks are up. That's why we are saying index moving to as high as that 48,459. You just said because price of equity are up, and also the market cap also show that investors has also created wealth for market created wealth for investors within this short period. That means for me the market is going somewhere, and I said anywhere in the world that the second half of the year or second quarter of the year, sorry, is where people position for the rest of the year. That's why that today, this year, we're expecting political uncertainties and also what is happening globally. But investors know that this is the place for them to position because seeing the Q1 number of many companies won't guide you where to take position for the rest of the financial year. What
should investors expect? I mean, this week, of course, if you look at the market last week, you say, okay, it was positive and to maintain that positive posture on sentiment. But this week, yes, we've seen earnings coming up in the market, African Prudential, like some of the companies you mentioned earlier. So we should expect that this is going to impact heavily in the market. So how do you capture this? Maybe you need to show us the direction for the week.
Yeah, for me, if you look at the chart is positive as we speak now. And also, if you look at the inflows of earnings we're expecting this week, that is that the bullish trend or the positive outlook of the market will remain for this week because that inflows of earnings that we're expecting will also change investor sentiment. I also tell you that during any season, there are three things that that happen in the market. You see increased sentiment, increased liquidity, and increased momentum. If earnings are positive, this will also support the market. Or for me, it's a good thing for the market. But if you look at chart now, I will tell you both on a daily chart, on a weekly chart, the chart is positive. When you see the positive, and also we're seeing strength, in terms of other momentum indicators. We're also seeing that volume is also looking up in that direction. As you are seeing volume looking up and price is looking up, it's a good sign that market is heading somewhere. For investors that understand or traders that understand how to trade with chart, they don't need to panic at all. You can see here, after 4 weeks of decline, you can see it here, these black lines here. You saw 2 weeks up on the chart. It tells you that. And also, they are all trading above the T line. When I mention T line, people will be surprised. T line is the trigger line that when stock chart or
because I was going to ask you. I mean, maybe you need to because that's too technical for an investor or the layman in the street.
No. When I say I mean moving average 8 days moving average exponential. That's what the T line means. It helps you to catch, buy and sell, and also it's just like you are using a Fibonacci to catch also your resistance and your support level. That's what it does. For me, market is very, very strong because it's trading above T line on the daily chart, also on the weekly chart. It tells you that there's good thing for the market as to speak now. You can see the chart now for almost straight days. You can see that for almost more than good 8 days, market has been in the uptrend. For me, it's a good one for the market.
Okay, I want to just let us look at some of the gainers and top losers. Also, apart from the general trend or positive sentiment, we also need to look at the direction for some of these stocks. You have Maya PLC, Etana up. As of last week, of course, you saw Maya closing about 2.2 naira 33 kobo, and if you look at Etana closing about 6 naira 65 kobo at the end of the day, and also did very well as at the close of week as well. Guinness is in that category. FTN Cocoa is in that category. And when you look at the top losers or decliners, Academy, John Holt, Nymet, of course, CWG, and Square PLC was among those decliners there. So, but for this week, if you have to look at the strength, the support level, and investor sentiment towards these stocks, what would you say it will be like?
Actually, I would say for the top gainers, as you mentioned, stock like Owando and Entana. For me, if you look at the chart for Entana has given us a straight uptrend for almost 30 straight days, gaining almost 10%. That's about 30% or 33%. For those that are really savvy with the market, that understand how to trade the market, you don't set too much target for yourself. If it's within your profit target, you have achieved it, you can sell off. Because for me, the news of 1.3 thousand shares, 3 million shares they're going to buy to make up the, it's not enough for the price to go beyond what it is. That means if you have made profit in Etana, it's time for you to go take your profit. For that of Owando, we're seeing that the sentiment is becoming stronger and for Owando. And why? Because the positive, fundamental news of crude oil price in the international market, and also knowing that Owando is one of the major players in that sector. And also they've notified the market that on the 29th of April, they will be meeting to approve their 2019 financial year. That also support Owando's price. Like, as I speak this morning, Owando is among the top gainers already. It tells you that market is still positioned in that stock, and that it has crossed the resistance level, which I said yesterday in our meeting, that once it broke that with a good volume, that means that another new trend has continued. As I speak now, Owando is trading about almost 6 naira 44 kobo. For me, it's a good route for Owando. For those in Guinness, I would say start taking your profit. Yes, we're expecting their third quarter results to come to the market, because Guinness has June as financial year end. Once we do that third quarter, it was important. If you have made money in Guinness, nothing stop you to take your profit from that position. Okay. But for those in the decline side, I'll tell you that those are penny stock we're seeing there. And I'll tell you, investors are also playing with that kind of stock, moving to good stock. Because I tell you, dividend paying stock and companies that are going to grow their sales and their earnings at this season is where investors would like to position ahead of Q2 number. Now,
let's group them into sectors to watch for the week. The oil and gas, of course, did very well at the close of last week with about 6.36%. You also have consumer goods in that category with about 3.31%. And so the services industry, all of them, you have them in that bit. Yeah. So what is that particular sector for you that investor needs to watch out for? And if you have to pick about your top stocks or 3 stocks that investors needs to watch.
Actually, I will start from the oil sector, because as oil prices is rising in the international market, it has a way of influencing oil-related companies here in Nigeria, especially Seplat and Owando. We can see that their price also looking up. That is for that. Also for banking sector, the result I we saw from Stanbic IBTC and the ETI, for me, that's also an insight. And also, for example, if by the next MPC meeting they decide to increase the rate, they tell you that the banks are going to smile. The banks are going to smile, because when there's increase in rate, you can see that the interest margin in the banks also improve. That means we are seeing first quarter result on a good note without the money. If it happens, it's going to be a plus for them.
Is that a prediction?
No, not prediction. I'm just giving you an understand. And also, we are seeing already the first quarter positive. If it happens, because globally, you can see that the central banks of the world are already hiking their rate. But we know that we can't do because others are doing. We have to look at peculiarity within an environment to see if we need it now, because economy is still struggling. Yes, we are recovering. Right. If you increase rates now, it will look like deflate what you have done. But there is a way we can do it, because as far as other people are increasing their rate, there are also a way of fund living. But the good thing is that our market here, local market, is not dominated by foreign investors. I will tell you that is another thing, because as at the last report is about 18% foreign players in the market. Why about almost 82 is by local investor. For me, it's a good one, but let's see how it plays out. But I believe that the industrial goods, the oil and gas, the banking sector, the healthcare sector, these are good for people to look at.
Well, I think we need to leave it there. Thank you so much, Ambrose Amodion, Chief Research Officer, Investor Consulting Limited. Thank you for coming on Business Breakfast.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.